Peace, peace, and power. Kings and queens up, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to BTV, Black Education Empowers True Vision. This is a special we have for you tonight. I'm your host, Teller B, the queen that keeps it a bean. And we got Yeshiah Yisrael coming on tonight to promote his books and to talk about some of the things that he has going on his platform. So without further ado, I'm going to get him on the screen. Okay. All right. Moreh, Yeshiah, you there?
Yes, hello. Can I be heard?
Yes, peace, peace.
Yes, peace. How's everyone doing?
Good. Thank you so much for coming on. And we're going to be talking about your books and some of the different things that you have going on the platform, right?
Okay,
Okay. So,
appreciate it.
yeah, I can get the so how have you been anyway? Like how's things going?
All in
Cuz
all, well,
you've
not
been on
bad.
you're an alum of BTV. You've been on here several times. Came on sometimes by yourself with Mighty Hebrew. You've been on the platform. So it's good to see that you're still out there. Obviously, I knew you still write your books, but still, teaching and doing different things on the channel. So how have you been?
All in all, well, not bad. Just some big changes in my life, but not negative, but serious, if I may put it in terms like that. I definitely feel honored. I want to first and foremost give honor and praise unto the Most High, the Creator, the one who sees all and is not seen, the one who judges all and is not judged. That is the one in whose name I would like to come in. I'm not saying I'm a prophet. I'm not saying I'm even a witness in that manner, but I definitely know that it is inspired and blessed by the Most High to be able to bring forth this kind of information. The purpose in bringing forth
Absolutely.
this information is because, let me know if I'm over talking you, sorry,
No,
is
go
because
ahead.
it has been suppressed for quite some time. Um, One of the things that motivated me was my teacher, Kohen Mikael, and another teacher in Israel whom I have not met, Rudolph Windsor, and he wrote the book From Babylon to Timbuktu that many people are familiar with. All right. Due to me running around today, I do not have the big volume books that I will be talking about in this presentation, but I do have, because I carry it in my book bag when I travel, the smaller versions that
Okay.
are available for those who do want it. And this is going to be explained or within the presentation. I do not profess to know everything, and I am open to constructive criticism. The telephone number to reach me directly, thank you for showing that, is 908-587-4841. Again, 908-587-4841. I prefer to not ask for donations directly. I rather have you all go online and buy the book, Hebrew book, history book, theology book, as opposed to just, quote, lining up my pockets without nothing in your hand. So to the people who have supported and bought it is definitely appreciated. The books that we're going to be going over, the table of contents is in the slide. The price of it is in the slide as well. And these books, brothers and sisters, until the end of the month, until February 29th, in honor of Black History Month, is $15. And you can get that deal only online. So just want to point that out for reference purposes in that particular case. So let us, if we can, I guess continue in this. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in that particular case, the books on sale regarding Black History Month. Now we remember it used to be referred to as Black History Week, and sometimes people even had a
Yes.
problem with even matter of there being Black History. I am 43, creator willing. Next week I'll be 44. When I was younger, I was a thief. And I despised when I was asked for the receipt. Huh? Where's the receipt? Huh? I came back already. Yeah, I know you came back. Where's the receipt? See, because I knew that I took the change from the store inappropriately, I did not want the receipt to show the evidence. So to give respect to somebody whom I've never met, who influenced me by making his documentaries, Hidden Colors, Tariq Nasheed, He said that when he was going into the matter of researching, he realized that people deliberately seem to not talk on certain things. That if you did studies from A to Q, but you seem to miss, brothers and sisters, M and N in your research as evidence, it might seem as if you deliberately did that. And so that made him, to my knowledge, when I watched Hidden Colors 1, may Francis Cress Welsing rest in peace, and may the others who are on it, such as Shahrazad Ali and others, be blessed and continue in their lives, is that it's definitely respect to dig into information. I mention these people not for showboating, but because I am an Israelite. I claim to be Israel since I was a child, but I'm not trying to be disrespectful, narrow-minded, or tunnel vision to say if the person don't claim as himself or herself as an Israelite, then that means that person has no kind of play or anything of that sort. I have, brothers and sisters, to the best of my knowledge, a book right here as an intro, African People and European Holidays by Ishaka Musa Barashango. And to my knowledge, this professor is deceased. May he rest in peace. And in this particular book, I want to read something out of this book on page 50 that alarmed me. And here it is. The English language, once considered to be vulgar and profane speech by the aristocracy of Europe, is the official language of the United States. English is rooted in the Anglo-Saxon tongues, which, according to Higgins, by that we mean Godfrey Higgins, is a remnant of the original tongues taught to the ancient Saxons by the blacks and bears traces of the Ethiopian language left by the Iberians who first inhabited the British Isles. Iberians are people from Spain, Iberia, for those who do know. There are still many Hebrew, Indian, Arabic, and Ethiopian words used in the language today. As a matter of fact, during the American Revolution, there was a popular proposal to replace English with Hebrew as the official language of the United States. Hebrew was believed by the colonists to be the mother of all tongues. Hebrew was believed by the colonists to be the mother of all tongues. Hebrew was believed by the colonists to be the mother of all tongues. This is written in a book by Ishaka Musa Bawashango, a person whose name is not even Hebrew, brothers and sisters. So I point that out by reading that to say that we can't tunnel vision things. If it's not part of your organization, your camp, your foundation, doesn't mean that you cannot be a part of it. My teacher, first Israelite teacher, may he rest in peace, Moreh Yosef, he used to cite that. But it wasn't until I started to read, until I read what my teacher was citing. I'm like, oh, wow, that's interesting. My teacher, whom I just mentioned, may he rest in peace, Moreh Yosef. He was my mother's teacher and my teacher. May my mother also rest in peace. And something that struck me was he used to sell a Tanakh. Now, for those who may or may not know, a Tanakh is what today called just the Old Testament. It's a Bible without the New Testament or the Apocrypha. Okay, so it just has in its standing from Genesis to Second Chronicles, which in the King James Version is Genesis to Malachi. But Malachi is included in the Tanakh for those who do know. All right, my teacher mainly taught Torah, just Genesis to Deuteronomy, every year in and year out there, right? My mother had bought me a Tanakh already. I began to read it. And I remember going to my teacher in a question and answer comment section of the day. And I said, Moreh, I was reading the Tanakh and I found out the Philistines in the Bible, the Tanakh, stole the Ark of the Covenant. And he was like, yes, they did. And he stared at me. I was about maybe 9 or 10, I want to say. And I mean, when I say I was stared at, he stared at me like, I know I didn't teach you that. My teacher looked at me like, I never taught you the book of Samuel, even though we are Israelites. And he looked at me while staring at me, not even harshly or disrespectfully or bad. He looked at me in front of adults and said, keep studying. And as we were saying, brothers and sisters and elders, and I'm sitting up there like, but I'm 43. And I remember being told when I was 10, over 30 years ago, that my teacher told me to keep studying when I mentioned something to him that he knew of, but he never did teach me. That's what a true teacher does. They don't want you to be stagnant in their own thing and you can only stay with me and so forth and so on. I recently got some.
Let me interject there because
yes, please.
I think what a lot of people do nowadays, and I've heard other people talk about this. There's been so many teachings, like you said, there's so many teachings that are already out there. A lot of people did, they walked the walk already. They did a lot of research. And a lot of times now what people do is just sit there and regurgitate that instead of taking that taking that research, taking those theories, taking all of that hard work that they put in and studying it and building something new on it, build something new on that instead of just sitting there regurgitating the same old thing. Of course, you want to continue to speak what's true, but you're supposed to be continuing to build on those things and to, reshape those things as we evolve in this world because the world is changing. So as the world changes, we have to be able to keep up with that. So that's just what I wanted to add and interject there.
Definitely true and respectful. That right there is not to be redundant. And let me know if I'm taking over the mic too much. I respect that. Rank and file.
You're good.
I definitely want to state that I respect my teachers for that. It wasn't like you must stay up under me and without me you can't do anything kind of mentality. That
Right.
is why some people don't want to stay around X, Y, and Z say thing. I want to emphasize too that recently on my channel, I got some flack because I made a video and then a follow-up video about, as an Israelite brother, not just an Israelite, but an Israelite brother, that don't invite me to your camps. My mother came in this understanding when I was 2 years old as a single mother, and the men in the congregation respected her, didn't try to, quote in today's term, holler at her, singing a single woman inside of an organization with 2 children, raising 2 children by herself, like, oh, let me just sit there and see what I can do. No, none of them came at my mother in that manner. Respect to that. But I want to emphasize and say this in due respect too. And that is, as my mother was new in a congregation in 1982, where there was only standing room and everyone was seated, and all the people who were like X, Y, and Z time members, they were made to stand. So to invite somebody who's been in this understanding for 20, 30, 40 years to come and have a seat, when you can sit there and have that seat for a newcomer, like my mother was a newcomer in 1982, reach out to the family, immediate and extended. That's why I made the video. For those wondering, don't invite me to your camp. And with that, without any further ado, if it's permissible, we can pull up the slides. Thank you.
Yeah, so before we pull up the slides, let me ask you about that. So, I mean, I know historically you've never been one to join a camp or be in a camp. So how do you navigate through those controversies and the different camps, maybe coming at you? Do they come at you still? I mean, I know back in the day it was kind of more of that going on. Is that still going on?
To answer
With
the
the back and
question,
forth and
I'm sorry if I heard you right. To answer the question, let me know if I'm over talking you. Sorry. No, nobody is, quote, and to use the term loosely, coming at anyone. Say in that particular case, it is more so a thing of come on through. I rather respect you while your services and your teachings and your promotions and presentations are online, and I can sit back and get that same energy with the luxury of the internet today, as opposed to having to go there. In that particular case, I subscribe to your channels, I comment, like, and I do share. And I would suggest others who are new to this understanding, who may want an eye-to-eye presentation to be done in that particular case. I want to emphasize, started in a camp called Kosher Erit B'nai Yisrael, which is in the Bronx. From there, some years later, we went to a congregation called B'nai Adat. And from there, we went to a congregation called Hashaba. When I was in there is when I really began to break into the matter of public speaking. I don't know if the brother is going to see this, but I'll send it to him. A brother named Miel, and I'm going to take the liberty to say his name on another platform, is the one who, when I was 11, 12 years old, let me know about how to do public speaking. Just stare at one thing and just talk. And from that, a brother just been talking. So having been on different channels and different platforms and things of that kind of nature. You know the saying, and it's not trying to be funny, God bless the child that has his own. When I was DJing harder, I remember having a cassette tape and trying to get people to put it from cassette tape to CD. And they would charge 70 something or whatever dollars. I'm like, that's kind of high. But when I got my own CD recorder to be able to do it from the cassette tape on my own to a CD, having your own is a wise thing. When you want somebody else's organization, platform, channel, etc., you have to oblige by his or her organizational rules. Whereas when you're on your own, you can sit there and have, for the lack of a better term, more free time to do it. You're not going to be penalized or talked bad about because you're a teacher and you was teaching, quote, too much, or quote, doing too much, or quote, speaking too much. You know, you can do it on your own platform and others that you feel comfortable with. And if it's respected, so be it. And that's what I got to say about that. I suggest everybody get your book out. There is, in 2024, almost no reason that you cannot do it. And I emphasize this because women are better reachers at certain things than men. Women put more time in their books. I cite in my books female historians, female authors about the slave trade, such as Suzanne Everett and other ones. The detail that goes into it is much more. I forget the author's name, but the name of the book is called They Were Her Property Too. And it's about, written by Black women from Yale University about your Caucasian women being slave mistresses and masters. And the book is graphic, that I won't even say for children's ears.
Yeah. Women were harsher than the men.
Yeah, for those who do know in that particular case. So looking at it like that, you know, in that particular term, I want to emphasize and try to encourage people, get your book out. Israel, Israelites, Hebrews, Bana Yisrael, brothers and sisters of this understanding. In our book, I want to say the scriptures, the Tanakh, the Old Testament. Isaiah did not write Isaiah. And Jeremiah did not write Jeremiah. All right? So I want to emphasize that in that particular case. Jeremiah was written by a person named Yeshiah. And Isaiah was written by a person named Yeshiah. And Jeremiah was written by a person named Baruch. Two of the greatest prophets in the Bible did not write the book that bears their name. So why, in 2024, over 2,000 years later, we have excuses to not get our book out when you can speak your book into a program and it can type it for what you wanted to say? Get your literature out.
Absolutely. You heard it from Moreh itself. Get your book out. If you've been thinking about working on a book, you're thinking about writing a book, no matter what it's about, whatever your heart, wherever your heart is to write a book, if you've been thinking about it, just go ahead and do it. And like he said, there's so many ways now that you can approach that through different programs and different automated things. So, and then you can self-publish and put your stuff up on Amazon and get everything out on your own. So you heard them. All right, Moreh. Is this the first page you want to look at, or you want me to go to the next slide?
No, is this the very first one?
Yes.
We give thanks to the God.
This is the very first one.
Yes, we give thanks to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We hope and pray that you all are well and will be better. Can you pull it back up? This is presented to you all from Day and Night Publications. We are dedicated to help setting truth back in the earth. The purpose of this presentation is to let you all know that there is a book sale on the history books regarding Black History Month. And that's like the thing in that particular case. So again, I can be reached at, and I can put my number, I hope, inside of the chat, 908-587-4841. You can text and you can call in that particular case. This is, okay, I already read that. Thank you. Next part. While we know BHM, Black History Month, is not to be marginalized to just February, we want to take advantage of the fact that many are hearing more than before the matter of BH or Black History. We know good and well that it's one of the coldest months, certainly in New York. Excuse me. We know, brothers and sisters, that it's the shortest month. Well, this time it has 29 days and it's still one of the shortest months, or the
One of its
shortest month,
shortest months. Hmm.
it's still respectful to understandably want to take advantage of it. Next month is what they call
Yeah,
it.
you know why
Go ahead.
I agree with that, because a lot of times they'll say, and like you just said in here, you just covered it. We know, those that know that it's not reduced just to this month. But like you said, since this month does have the national attention that it has, why not take advantage of using that time to get as much out as you can in that month? So definitely, I agree with that. I hate when people say, "Oh, I don't celebrate Black History Month," or "I don't recognize Black History Month." I mean, our ancestors worked hard to get that first Black History Week, Carter G. Woodson, to get just that first week, and then to get it turned into a month. It's something amazing. With all we've gone through and with everything that our history entails. So I think it's important to honor it. We can feel how we feel about it. If you know what you know, then it shouldn't bother you. And it really should just make you feel empowered. And I don't know where the Moreh went. I think he went off screen. So while he's doing that, just to let you know, I also have a sale going on right now, History Month, for my Be Smart merch, which you see me wearing my Queens Up hoodie today. Oh, he's back. So yeah, take advantage of it. This is the time to get as much information out there as we can, because this is the time that it has national attention. So whether we like it or not, whether we know that it shouldn't be just reduced to that, but you know, if you know that, then continue to build on what you know and make it do what it do for the people who don't know. That's what it's about.
Thank you for that. In that particular case, what you see there is the product overview, and this together in total is 20 slides, and that's a picture of me back in
Mhm.
2016. And interesting is that particular day, if you can go back to that picture, that particular
What's
day
up?
we was in Harlem at Marcus Garvey Park off of between 5th Avenue, 125th Street vicinity. And that particular day was September of 2016. And me and the brother, much respect to him, shout out to Mighty Hebrew, was inside of there when we did a lesson on a channel called Maccabees TV, for those who are familiar with it. But that is that same particular day in that particular matter. Now, what you see on the other side is Day Night Publications. That is my website. For those who are interested, daynightpublications.com. You can sit there and tag into that. Somebody put something up about Marcus Garvey. Israel, you do know in the Marcus Garvey era, may he rest in peace, I believe he passed away in 1940, there were, quote, Black Jews / Israelites in his organization. Why do I emphasize that? Is because we cannot wonder why Israel, and this is no knock, shame, or slander, or anything of that sort. But when we say Israel doesn't produce nothing, Israel don't have nothing, if you meet the day only when it's the Sabbath, the day you told to do no work, you're not going to get certain things accomplished. In the laws of the Sabbath in our Torah in Exodus 20, it says 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. So you got to put work in. This is how we know about Granville T. Woods. This is how we know about Leonard Parkinson. This is how we know about Asita Reni. This is how we know about Nani of Jamaica. This is how we know about Harriet Tubman. So we have to understand about being able to do so. And if you want to stay scriptural, and there's no disrespect intended, that's how we know Israelites about Deborah and Barak. Drops mic for those who know where I'm coming from. Can we go to the next part, please? Here we see points, and I want to emphasize Day Night Publication started officially in 2015 when one was 35 years old. At that time, one was featured on different platforms like South Showtime and Debate Talk for You and Maccabees TV. Having, however, started my own channel in 2024, I was focused on other platforms until 2018 when I began to write independent Hebrew books. The first history book I wrote is called Egypt Talk and Writing, which is followed by Deuteronomy 28, History Untold to the Masses. This was followed by From Assyria to America, which has a part 2 to it. Finally, there is a book called Israelite History as it relates to the world. We do not profess to know everything, and we are open to constructive criticism. We can be reached at 908-587-4841. I do not profess that my books are everything, and what she's holding up is the cover from the book From Assyria to America. I think, and now the one, Deuteronomy 28. While you hold that book up there, I want to say this, family. I suggest that the one with the brown cover she just showed is not made for children. That is not made for children. If you're 18, 19 and older, that book is more so for you. That book, I promise you, is not made for children of any race. You can see the cover is graphic. It shows a lynching. It shows the ship. It shows a youth crying and so forth. It shows one with the neck iron on one. That's not made for children, brothers and sisters. And when you go into chapter 4 of it, you will see why. If you can show her the other book, please. Thank you for that in that manner, called From Assyria to America. The one that was showed before in that manner.
Yeah, well, I have part 1 and 2. So here's part 1.
All right, yes. Part 1 there, that's made regarding with children. In that particular case, or anyone else from a child upward. That book has 10 chapters and is over 400 pages. Partly the reason why it's over 400 pages is because of the font that elders were telling me to make it bigger so that way they can read it for themselves. So be teachable. Don't be in your feelings when someone gives you constructive criticism. All right? You're not writing these things and presenting it for yourself. You're presenting it to the people, so let the people tell you how they want to receive it as well, in respect.
So that's one thing that I really like about you, because you are one that does take constructive criticism well. You invite it. You actually stated on a lot of your lives that you do. You say, you know, any constructive criticism, you put your phone number out there for people. So you really do take constructive criticism well. So kudos to you. And here goes the second one.
Thank you regarding that. That one right there, From Assyria to America, Part 2. Guess what date that book was released? February 1st, 2021. I tried my best to make sure that book was being able to get out in the time of Black History Month 2021. I typed and typed and typed and turned off the phone. And then I was like, oh man, I got to sit there in case family call, turn it back on, turn the volume down. I was zero tolerance policy for any kind of interruption. If the phone didn't sit there and flash, I would have not known anything going on. I had the food to the side, the drink to the side, and just focused on typing. I was trying to sit there and finish a certain chapter, because then, you know, for the authors, then you got to sit there and proofread it. Then you got to sit there and have somebody else proofread it. And then you got to sit there and have the computer proofread it, and then grammar. So it's a lot of work that was done in those last 3 days to sit there and get that book out. So I'm thankful to the creator that was able to get out when it was produced. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I also want to mention that when you started the company, when you started your Danite Publications in 2015, we actually met a year later, I think, because we met in 2016. And that's when, you know, you talk about these other platforms, but you could have put BTV in there, because you did some stuff on BTV too. So, and I wanted to just add that in.
Yes, there's an interview that was done when the first book, which was a condensed book, compared to what's out now, called Egypt Talking Writing. And yeah, that was definitely promoted on the channel. I do remember that. Pardon me for that. Thank you for that.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I just, you know, shameless plug, throwing BTV in there. But I just want to mention that I was there from like ground zero. So, all right. Let's put this back up on the screen. Right.
Product benefits in this particular matter. Now, what am I saying about this? The books are presented from a collegiate point of view, while at the same time not trying to lose the focus of the youth. While some of the words are harsh, what is deemed as profanity is not supported in the literature. The reader of the book is taken from where each book's point of view is from the beginning of the point to the resolution. One will be able to use the material found in the literature for school papers. In other words, like collegiate matters of college. And that is the level where one wanted to sit there and present things in that particular matter. One of the things I find as a researcher, as a presenter, sloppy, is when people know that these ancient nations that we talk about, indigenous here, Nok of Africa, Kemet of ancient Egypt, the Habiru or Hebrews of in the land of Canaan, the Babylonians, the Kassites, the people of Mitanni, the Jukun, the Awikam, the Se'eri, all of these different peoples of whom we talk about in history, right? They didn't speak English. So when people will sit there and try to argue a point by saying it has to be a primary source, it has to be a primary source. Once you translate something, and once you start getting into transliteration, it's no longer primary. It has now become secondary. It doesn't mean that it's a lie. It doesn't mean that it's embellished. It doesn't mean that it's not true. So these are things that we want to point out for reference purposes. I have here, with the timing allotted, a book here called The Ancient Near East in Text and Pictures. Now, I want to read a part of this, and I remember the exact page was on page 194. And here's what it says, brothers and sisters, in this manner, right? Now, this is a translation of what the Assyrian king spoke about the Israelites. So sometimes people say, oh, Israelites don't sit there and cite things outside of the Bible and things of that kind of nature. It's false. It says, as for Menahem, I overthrew him like a snowstorm, and he fled like a bird alone and bowed to my feet. It goes on to say, I received from him, literally Omri land, the land of Israel, and its inhabitants and possessions I led to Assyria. They, the Israelites that is, overthrew their king Pekah, and I placed Hosea as king over them. Now, Pekah and Hosea and Tiglath-Pileser are all mentioned in the Bible in the Book of Kings. So here we have an external source confirming for what it is worth, what is written already within the scriptures. So there's two things to point out with that. One, we're not, quote, afraid to, quote, go there to sit there and bring out our information. Two, Israel, don't be afraid to go out there and present your information in this particular manner and so forth. So that was the point and purpose in that particular matter, that we are documented in history. But what we want to point out also in closing this particular aspect, not the presentation, but this particular aspect is this. None of this history stuff can ever compare to the love and the respect that we're supposed to have for one another as a people. Many of our people, such as those who were enslaved, did not know how to read. And they who did know how to read, Frederick Douglass, Nat Turner, and others, Gabriel Prosser, Denmark Vesey, and others, was a problem to the establishment. So keeping the people illiterate, thus ignorant, was very necessary for slavery to sit there and to work in that particular case. Literacy picked up between the late 1860s into the 1890s, almost 50% from those who did not know it. And we want to emphasize that we, as a people, are, yes, a strong people, and it doesn't make you a racist to sit there and state such. It doesn't make a bodybuilder against anyone else saying that he or she went from one level to the next. That's not racism. That's an accomplishment. And so just want to point that out with that. Thank you for that. Our competition. While Danite Publications is not based on debate purposes, it is the goal of the company to help set truth back in the earth. Therefore, the layers of lies that have been presented are shattered. This is not to say that the company, Danite Publications, is not careful, is not above reproach, and that we are open to correction. It is, however, to say that careful and reliable information is what we present. We attempt to bring material that is not commonly known. Thus, the subtitle in the book, History Untold to the Masses. Example is the fact that the Irish, check this out, in the 17th century, that's to say the 1600s, spoke of the captives they had as being from the tribe of Judah. So we are not combative, but rather objective, and we hope everyone is well and will be better. That is something that is one of the slogans that we have on Day Night Publications. We hope everybody is well and will be better, because we all are dealing with X, Y, and Z things, but we definitely want to sit there and be better in that particular manner. All right, so just want to point that out in that particular matter. If there's any questions or comments, I can be reached again by text at 908-587-4841. Now, where did I get the citation that spoke about the iris, saying that the captives that they had came from the tribe of Judah? Came from a book, brothers and sisters, called Hebrewisms of West Africa. I'm going to type that in for those who are interested in it. And he wrote in his book about the people whom they took, saying that they professed themselves to be of the line of the tribe of Judah through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Now, this is dated to the 1670s. For those who are familiar, we already know about the matter of the slave trade having been in full operation ever since the 1400s. You understand? So this, again, is something that we care to bring out in that manner. All right? If we can go to the next slide. Thank you. All righty. It says here, the cover made by a brother named Chief Naphtali Ben Dan of the congregation DCB, which is an Israelite camp congregation. The book is over 300 pages and has, two appendixes. The book covers matters of the not detailed translations in the English text, as well as a glossary for Hebrew seekers. There is a timeline in the book that is second to none, which is in chapter 6 of the book. The authors, and I want to emphasize why I say authors, even though it's written by me, one person, right? The authors cover the timing of the Bible. The Bible speaks of from Sumer, which in the Bible is called Shinar, right, to the fall of Persia, and picks up where the Greco-Roman empires led to the hegemony of the Americans. So when I subtitled it History Untold to the Masses, and I have the timeline in chapter 6 of that book, these are things we care to just bring out for reference purposes. As the presentation goes on, you will begin to see the table of contents about each book in this particular manner. So it's like an intro to each book, and then say the table of contents, say, of each book in that manner. All right? So let's continue. Thank you for that. The next one is this right here. This is presented to you all. While it is named From Assyria to America, the content of the book starts by a chapter that says, sorry about that. That starts by saying, from Egypt to America, then picks up from where Assyria comes to power, while all along showing the influence of the nations on the Israelites. While some have asked, we have been asked, what did Israelites contribute to society? We admit the Israelites fell short of their intended creation, that is to say, to be the teachers of the world, yet produced some of the best records we have to date, the scriptures. And why do I say that? Is because historians and archaeologists and others use it for a matter of doing research, believe it or not. Most people first heard about the Assyrians in history from reading the scriptures before finding out that the scriptures, speaking of these people, were actual factual matters. All right? Just want to point that out in that particular case. So to the next slide. Thank you for that. This book was completed, as we pointed out, February 1st, 2021, in commemoration of, quote, Black History Month. The genre of the book is to bring out that the history of the Israelites is definitely intertwined in the history of the world. The Israelite tribe of Dan, or Dan, is focused on in this book, in where they migrated to. Also, there is a portion of this book that speak on why, as we've been citing as Israelites Egypt by ships in Deuteronomy 28, is of the Atlantic slave trade, which has been controversial for some time. There too is a timeline of the captors of the Israelites. What do I mean when I say the captors? We're talking about what happened in 1492 with the Moors in Spain, with Isabel and Ferdinand, and their grandchild, Charles V, with the Asiento, in a matter of taking our ancestors to places today called Jamaica, Puerto Rico, Cuba, and Santo Domingo, called today Haiti and Dominican Republic. So these are things that we want to point out. I want to emphasize something that I pointed out in this book here. For those who do know, I'm going to type it inside of the chat, what it's called, Asiento. This was a wicked, though they considered it legal, document given by Charles V, the grandson of Isabel and Ferdinand of Spain, that was eventually used by John Hawkins. The rapper Rakim spoke about John Hawkins in his albums, for those familiar with it. John Hawkins was a worker for Queen Elizabeth, who is the ancestor of the people that are ruling in England today. So we kind of see in a way how it kind of intertwines in that particular manner. All right. So hopefully that's understood, say, for reference purposes in that manner. Thank you for that, family. Sorry about that. Let's go on to the next part. Thank you. Product overview. This book here, Egypt Talking Writing. This was the first book a brother wrote. The reason was because many were doing what they call, quote, coming for the Israelites, due to claims that the Exodus is a myth and the enslavement of the Israelites is not factual. Sorry about that. And that the Israelites, sorry about that, I had to just deal with that at the moment. Due to the claims that the Exodus is a myth and the enslavement of the Israelites is not factual, it became incumbent to bring this material out. Sources are cited from different references. Many of the citations come from encyclopedias and journals that speak of the authenticity of the biblical account of the Exodus. So what do we want to do in that particular case? This was, brothers and sisters, the most difficult book to write in this particular case. All right. Just want to point that out in that particular case. But that was the most difficult book to point out. Oh, pardon me. That was the most difficult book to write. And it was a very tedious work in progress. So just want to point that out in that particular case. All right, for those who are interested. Now, again, I can be reached at 908-587-4841. Thank you for that. Next part. Now, this book right here, thank you for that. This is called Israelite History as it Relates to the World. This book, having less than 10 chapters and more than 50 sources, was put together to show the connection of the Israelites in the world after the fall of the Assyrian Empire. This is something we focus on in history. Not copying the style of the book From Assyria to America, this book has citations from kings to slaves that speak of the reality of the Israelites. What I mean by that? The purpose in this Israelite history as it relates to the world is to sit there and bring out the fact, brothers and sisters, that people independent of the Israelites, that's to say who are not Israelites in history, spoke of the Israelites, sometimes confirming what is said of the Israelites in the scriptures and sometimes added on things that the Bible or the scriptures itself doesn't even have. Brothers and sisters, for instance, there's a thing called by the king here. I'm going to type this in for those who are interested. That is referred to as the Karkar battle. The Karkar battle, brothers and sisters, happened in history in the 9th century BCE. That is not recorded in the scriptures, yet confirm the authenticity of the people of it. So these are things, sorry about that, want to put the other phone up, just want to use for reference purposes. All right? Those who are interested can check it out. Next part, thank you for that, family. Why a book sale? February 2024 is the month that many Black people are attentive to hear about Black history. We, the Israelites, care to bring what information we have to the masses by way of literature. We intend that our writings will outlive our current lives and thus help the future generations. So no disrespect, all right? We don't believe in calling up the dead or seances or things of that kind of thing. We want to, while we alive, leave things for our future. All right. History has been presented as boring to some and unnecessary to study to others. Yet we want to point out that not only is history necessary, it is also fun, not funny at times, sad, but fun to know. So it's something to learn from. And so that way you can either sit there and take it and build upon it for better, or learn from it if it was an error and then not make that same error. So that was the point in this particular case. All right. So that's why it's a book sale in that case for this month, and it ends the 29th. This happens to be what they call leap year. I think that's what they call it. When it's a set of 28 days, it's 29. So these books are on sale, and it's going to show the next part before we close out what the chapters are and the pricing. Thank you for such. Okay, looking at this here, family, the shorter versions, Deuteronomy 28, 15 to 68, Egypt talking writing from Everest, Alabama. You can type in those things on Amazon and see each of those 3 books for $10. So if you got Prime, it comes to less than $35 for those who are interested. The books that we're going to be talking about and have talked about are the bigger versions of these smaller ones. These smaller ones, brothers and sisters, are condensed versions or 1 or 2 chapters of the bigger ones. So if you happen to purchase the big ones, you don't have to necessarily purchase, unless you want to, the smaller versions of it. So just want to point that out. With everything going on, I priced these books that you see there, the blue one, the black one, and the black and brown one there, at $10 perpetually. The bigger ones that we're going to have on sale and on sale for Black History Month is only for Black History Month. All right, so just want to point that out. I prefer that people get it online unless they get it in bulk from a brother, but that is up to you. I do individually mail out books to people, and I can be reached for those who do want it at 908-587-4841 in that particular case. Thank you for that with the timing. Next part. All right, let's look. Now, these are all 5 books we're going to talk about in this case here. Introduction. From Summa to America, Brief History of Israel, Deuteronomy 28, 15 to 68, 12 Tribe Chart, Extra Notes on the Subject of History, Appendix A, Appendix B, Bibliography and Acknowledgements. Now, I don't know why it looks like that on the slide. It must have been my fault when I sent it. It looks a little bunched up, but nonetheless, it's not bunched up in the book. All right, now this book you can get in the author name that I have there, and giving my father honor, may he rest in peace. I pen named it in part in honor of my dad. May my father rest in peace, who passed when I was 14 years old. So since called here, you can look it up by author name or by the title name online. All right, next part. Thank you. That book there is normally $30, but it's on sale for $15 in regards to, say, with Black History Month. As this one here is normally $20, but it's priced $15 in regards to Black History Month. We can see Israelites in Archaeology, the book of Exodus, chapter 1 through 15, which is the largest chapter in it. Israelite history as it relates to the world. Why did I spend so much time in that chapter about the book of Exodus? Because that is Israel's claim to the world, or where they fit in as a nation in the world. So you got to spend time upon that. Diaspora of the Israelites, the matter of slavery. Was it a myth? Was it made up? Was it exaggerated? The Bible, the European, the Arabs, and the black man. Conclusion, acknowledgments, and bibliography. So just want to point that out there for those who are interested. Again, this book is on sale for $15. You can get it online. Thank you for those who have supported it, as shown here by the sister. Next slide. Thanks. Egypt Talking Writing. Now, this again was the hardest book to write and has the most citations in it. I'm going to read, brothers and sisters, what the table of contents of this is in this manner. Introduction, Joseph in Dynasty 12. Now, Joseph, we're talking about Joseph in the Bible. Dispelling some misunderstandings and lies. Did the Israelites make up the story to fit in the world? No, it's a fact. Debates in Israelite perception. Recap and synopsis. Israel is not from Isis, Ra, and El. We get into language matters in that case. History to be noted and understood. Questions posed to brothers and sisters, meaning questions that was posed to us as Israelites. Hebrew speaks on Black history, Egyptians, Israelites, and Greeks. Torah comes from Ma'at, question mark. It says there, pictures and notes, afterword and conclusion, videos for further information, acknowledgments and bibliography, and appendixes. So these are things we just want to point out what this book is talking about for edification purposes. All right, for those who are interested. Thank you for that. The next part. All right, this book too is $15. Introduction from Egypt to America. I'm just reading the table of contents, family. From Avaris to Alabama. Avaris was called Hutwawet to the ancient Egyptians, and that's where the Israelites were in the timing of the Middle Kingdom of Egypt. As if the brother's timeline is right, that's what we're talking about. I believe it's right, but I'm saying if the brother's timeline is right, that's what we're talking about. Chapter there, the Romans and the Israelites. That gets into what happens today, sadly, as gentrification, when the Edomites came into the land and was blessed on the human level by the Romans, and the Israelites were displaced. Just want to point that out. How to teach Deuteronomy 28. Chapters called now, from Ghana to Georgia, from Dahomey to Delaware, from Nigeria to Niagara, from Madagascar to Manhattan. Why do I call that Madagascar to Manhattan? Because the Portuguese, actually working with others, used to sit there by Wall Street, have Black people on sale. Did you know that? In Lower Manhattan from East Africa? That's what I point out in that case there. Conclusion and bibliography. So as you can see there, the book there is over 400 pages. And again, this is priced online. You can go online for those who are interested and get this for that price until February 29th. Thank you for those who have supported. Next part. Thank you. This book is $15. The matter of 1619 in Genesis, 15, because some brothers and sisters teach that 1619 was when slavery started in America. It didn't. And Genesis 15 is not talking about the captivity over here, though some people have stated it. That's what I'll point out or talk about in there. The matter with Egypt, from Assyria to America, part 2, the matter of history and pictures. Now you might see chapter 4 there from page 81 to page 140, because a lot of times people have been asking, I remember seeing the debates or whatever, and people saying Israelites don't show pictures. Israelites always get there and come with some words, and the picture's worth 1,000 words. So a brother studying archaeology and other things spent time giving thanks to the Creator and put the pictures in the book to show how the Philistines looked, how the Moabites looked, how the Israelites looked, how the Ethiopians thought of the Israelites, how the Romans looked, how the indigenous people of this Mexico looked, and so forth. And so those kind of things are pointed out in that particular case. So just want to point that out with that. The name, in other words, that's to say the ineffable name, the holy name that we know the Most High to be. The next part, the tribe of Dan. Next part, from Angola to Arkansas, was supposed to be part of the book From Assyria to America, part 1, but that didn't work out with the publishing. So I put it in part 2 of this. Why Mizraim is not Egypt? What do I point out in that? Mizraim, the word, for those into Hebrew, know that the ayim means something that is dual in meaning. Dual meaning two. So, for instance, yad means hand. Yadayim means hands. Shana means year, like 364, 365 days of the year. Shana means year. Shana Tayim means 2 years. Mea means 100. Matayim means 200. So if the ayim in Hebrew shows a dual plural, what does Mizrayim mean? You have to know what the word mazor or matzir for mazor from zor means. And that's what I talk about in there. It means trouble. So Mizrayim does not literally, linguistically, mean Egypt. It means double strict, double trouble. That's what it means in that particular case. And that's what I talk about in there. For those interested too, I talk about how there's what they call Upper and Lower Egypt. What is Kemet? What is Tamihu? What is Tashmihu? And so forth and so on from the Egyptian aspect, and what was meant by the white crown, the red crown, and the red and white crown. All of that is spoken upon in that particular case. The matter with the Edomites, are they the white people? Are they part of the white people? Or are they part of people in Nigeria? That's something our brother talks about from findings, whether those agree or not. Conclusion, acknowledgments, and bibliography. Always give a bibliography. I learned that in high school when I failed. Practically, I call it failing because I did so much work but forgot the bibliography, and that I got a C instead of an A. So that's why I got to go hard with those kind of things. Thus ends this presentation. Thank you. 908-587-4841. YYISREEL at 22 at yahoo.com. As you see, go and say across the screen. So that's the end of that. Try to keep it within our time frame. I'm sorry about any interruptions that happen on my end or coming a couple of minutes later and so forth. But hopefully everybody is well and will be better. Again, you can reach out to me if you want information on how to get the book. I'd rather, honestly, people buy the book, whether directly from me or online, as opposed to saying, sounded, and I hate to have to say it, a panhandler online and scholarly things, give a donation. No, give something to the people, bruh. Give something to the people, sister. Book, clothes, medicine, herbal stuff. There are Israelite sisters, because we teach that sisters should wear skirts. There are Israelite sisters that know how to take your jeans and cut it to sit there and make it a skirt. You got herbalists, you got teachers, you got doctors, you got scientists, you got historians, you got educators. So present something to the people.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Present something to the people, as opposed to, I think it's tacky to go online. People already taking their time out for whatever they may do, whether live or later, and you up there saying hit the power thing and hit my cash app. And no, give something to the people. So I know I said it 4 times, but you got people online saying donations 4 times without saying, let me produce something, so that way for the hard money or the money that you work hard for, that way you can get something in your hand. And if it ain't for you in history, it may be for your children, it may be for your relative, maybe for a friend. So with that, I say peace. Thank you for the time. My info was there. Good night.
Yeah, so peace. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Yeshiah. You guys go check him out. Go follow him on his page. Get his books. They're on Amazon. His let me see what his YouTube is. The YouTube page that we want you to go follow is Moreh Yeshiah History Lessons 2. We didn't have the call-in feature today because I just wanted to let the brother present his presentation for his books. So we want to thank him for coming on BTV and sharing that with us. Make sure you go support him, and if you need to get a hold of him, just reach out to me and I will connect you with him if you want to learn Hebrew. He does different classes on his YouTube. So just make sure you go subscribe to him to stay up to date with everything that he's doing on YouTube. Make sure you tune in with us. We did our first Quest for Justice on Earth on last Friday. We're going to be doing another show this Friday. And this time, I think we're going to be talking about the migrants and some politics, some political things, because there's a lot going on right now. So we're going to do another State of the Nation show like we did last year on BTV. Around this time of year, we did a State of the Nation. So we're going to go ahead and do another show like that and talk about the migrants and how they're kind of coming in the country and taking over and what your thoughts are on that. So you see our number at the bottom of the screen. Make sure you connect with us. I may put a poll out about it. So, BTV is very interactive. I want to get people involved, get you to call in thoughts and whatnot. Any last words, brother, before we get off of the live here? Anything else you want to say?
Giving honor and praise unto the Most High, the one who sees all and is not seen, the one who judges all and is not judged. Everyone may not agree what I write. Everyone may not agree with what I teach. And I am, again, yes, open to constructive criticism. My number there is 908-587-4841. I remember I had to change a couple of things that I had in my book. And I made a video on my channel stating to those who bought the books years ago, I made a mistake about something in genealogy. I point that out to state, and I'm not even historically on the level that Michael Jordan was or is in basketball, but they talk about how Jordan is the reason why sometimes the Bull team of Chicago lost. Be teachable. Always be able to sit there and have somebody pull your coattail in respect. Don't take it as offensive. Don't take it as disrespect. Don't take it as somebody is trying to humiliate you. And even if they are trying to be disrespectful, but they come in with something that you can learn from, take that, just don't take their spirit. You're going to have haters, Israel, in our scriptures, everyone who does acknowledge the scriptures. The Most High, when speaking to the world through Israel, said, to the third and fourth generation of those that hate me. The Hebrew says what? Lason I, translated as to those that hate me. But for those into the language, literally, the word Lason I means to my haters. Now, what people talks about who's a hater? That's something that we sit there and talk about. We made that term popular. Hater. It's going to come Israel. What did the Most High say to Solomon? Because you did not ask for the life of your enemies. Solomon wasn't a grown man fully when he took that throne. You know how Hannibal was 17 when he was doing what he was doing against Italy? Well, you had people like Solomon that was a leader before he was 20 years old. So I'm saying that to say that when he was told you did not ask for the life of your enemies, you're going to have opposition. Let it be something that you use for strength and courage. Don't feel ashamed. People, brothers, sisters, anyone, get your book out there. If you know what I found out, not to be long-winded recently, the
What's that?
Boys. For those who do know that group called the Boys, that was a singing group, R&B singing group back in 1988, 1989. You know their hit song called Down My Heart? You know that was written by Babyface? Did you know that some of the hits that the Temptations had was written by Smokey Robinson? Why do I point that out? Get your writing done. You never know who it can help. Babyface having that for the Boys helped them both, the group and him, to my knowledge. Smokey Robinson and the Temptations did business together by him writing and they singing. So if you can sit there and have maybe a matter of, quote, a ghostwriter or anything of that sort, get it out there, but just make sure you keep it legal and respectful. And with that, I say thank you for the time. For that, shalom. Thank you. Peace to you.
Shalom. Peace, brother. Thank you so much. So we want to thank Yeshiah for coming on. We appreciate him every time he blesses BTV. Please make sure you go check his books out. Go follow him on YouTube and subscribe to his channel. BTV is out. Make sure you tune in with us this Friday live. We'll be doing the Quest for Justice on Earth podcast, episode 2, State of the Nation, talking about the migrants. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to BTV. Until next time, stay curious. Black education empowers true vision. Peace out.